Although this manual says it is a coffee table, this is actually an assembly video for the Odika over the toilet shelf, and it does have the side shelf attached. This was sent to me by the brand, and I hope that my description gives you a better understanding of how to put it together. The directions were pretty clear. I put this together by myself. It took me about 50 minutes. Everything is clearly labeled with stickers. It does come with the hardware and the tools that you need as well. All of the wood and metal pieces are labeled with numbers, and then the hardware is labeled with letters. I apologize because I realize what I'm doing is out of the frame for this, but I am taking parts 1, 2, and 3, and I am putting 6 of the parts D on them. So those are just little screws that go in to protect the floor, essentially. That's what I'm doing here at the top of the video. For this next part, you will need pieces 4, 5, and 6, and what you'll be doing is connecting those to the first 3 that you put those little bottom screws on. You'll be connecting these by using the screw labeled B, which is a small hex screw. Keep in mind that you'll be putting part 1 into part 4, part 2 into part 5, and part 3 into part 6. Again, you'll be using the pieces labeled B. You'll be using 2 of them per panel per se. So for step number 3, you are going to be making 3 shelves. You'll be using pieces 9 and 10. 9 is the bigger piece. It is essentially the shelf itself. And then 10 is like a little ledge for it. You'll be connecting those using 1 wooden hex screw labeled C. That will be right there in the middle. I found it easiest to kind of balance it in a way until I had most of the screw inside, and then kind of leaned it the other way to get it to be fully secure and tightened. And then you'll be completing this step until all 3 shelves are complete. For this next part, if you do have another set of hands, it will be a lot easier for you. You can kind of see my wheels turning in my head about how am I going to do this. This is the part where you're going to be attaching all 3 shelves to 2 of the poles. So I kind of have to hold up all the sides, which I obviously can't do. So I end up improvising and kind of leaning it on a dresser that I have right here to kind of hold it up while I get some of the screws attached. Also, you need to think about if you want that side shelf to be on the left or the right when looking at the toilet. The product shows that it's on the left, but I actually set it up on the right, not actually on purpose, but it ended up working out either way. But my mistake here was that I looked at all 3 poles and assumed they were essentially the same, but they're actually not. So if you want that extra shelf, that long shelf on the left side, when looking at this product, you will want the farthest pole to the left to be the 6 connected to the 3, and then the left side to be the 5 connected to the 2. I believe I did that backwards here, so I had it in reverse, which caused me to only be able to put the shelf on the right hand side, but like I said, it still worked for my bathroom. It's really your preference. All right, now that I got one side of the shelf up, I'm gonna try to do this vertically. So I'm using my mouth and pockets to try to get at least a portion of this shelf into the other bracket. That way this can be standing up, and then I can easily do all of the remaining shelves. For all 3 of the shelves, you will be using the hex screw labeled C. You will need 18 of them. For each side of each shelf, you will need 3 on each side. So 3 times 3 shelves, and both sides equals 18. I found it easiest to, like I said, put a little bit of the screw in. Again, you should always know not to tighten every single screw one at a time. Kind of get them all in pretty closely and then go around and tighten them up the best you can. At the very end of this step, you are supposed to add the rod that is labeled 7 with screws labeled A. I actually do that at the very end because you'll want to do this actually inside of your bathroom, because this rod goes behind and under your toilet. All right, so it is around here that I am realizing that the only hole options that I have are on the right side. Again, totally fine, but pay attention to that if you can only do it on a certain side. Both sides of this rod here, the shelf, which is actually 1 and 4 connected to one another, they seem identical on either side, so it really doesn't matter if one side is facing outward or the other. So from here, you'll need 3 of the pieces labeled 11. These are the shorter shelves on that extra shelf on the side. To put these on, you are going to use the hex screws labeled C. You will do 2 on the outer side and then 2 on the inner side, so it's connected to both of those upright poles. You will repeat this 2 times over, and then there'll be another piece labeled 8, which is the one that has the bars on it that goes at the very bottom, and you'll connect that by using the hex screws labeled A. You'll use 4 of those for that. Okay, so now when the majority of it is set up, all we need to do is put it into the bathroom and then put that rod behind the toilet. And this is the final product. As you can see, it's there in the back. I hope this video helped you to assemble this shelf. It works out great.